This is FinTech Futures at Sibos, and I'm joined by Lynn of ING. How are you?
Very fine.
Excellent. Have you been enjoying the conference so far?
Yes, it's been excellent, Paul.
Excellent. So just to get started then, we'd like to give a quick introduction to yourself and your role then at ING.
Sure. My name is Lynn. I am the Global Head for Commodities, Food and Agri of ING. I also wear another hat, which is the Banking Commission's Chair for the ICC.
Excellent. So earlier this week then we were on a panel covering interoperability in the trade finance ecosystem and whether that's a possibility or pipe dream. What was your conclusion from that? Do you think cross-platform interoperability is possible now?
Well, it is definitely much more than a pipe dream. I think we discussed it yesterday and it was a very lively discussion. The thing is that in terms of the data standards, we've certainly made great strides, and I think that's really the key to making sure that we're able to connect with all the different platforms. At the end of the day, I think we all agreed that technology was not the obstacle. That was never the obstacle, at least for the last couple of years. But it is more in terms of how we can communicate and share the data that we all receive in a standardized way, in a way that it's easy for us to understand and to categorize, and of course in a very secure way as well. So that progress is being made. We have the ICC's DSI, which is the Data Standards Initiative, and there we have already deployed and published the Data Standards Toolkit, and that's a very important first step. The next step that we're working on is to harmonize some of these data standards, and that work is being carried out right now, and we hope to be able to share that very shortly.
Excellent. So, how difficult is it then at the moment just to clear some of those hurdles, including things like regulation and fraud and things like that?
Yeah, so regulations is definitely a key hurdle for us. What's really foundational and critical for us at this point is the model law. So the model law specifically for the electronic transferable records, and that has made some progress. I'm happy to see that the G7 has endorsed it since May this year. And even the UK is also in the midst of implementing it. So that gives me hope that we will soon have a situation where the data records enjoy the same legal status as its paper counterpart, and that's really key to making it possible for us to share data.
One of the things that came up in the panel that we were talking about was collaboration, the importance of collaboration across the industry. So, do you see a willingness now across different countries, across different companies to kind of really come together and make this work?
Yeah, well, definitely there's a willingness, but I think that there's more that needs to be done. There's still a couple of parties that need a little bit more convincing, such as, for instance, technology providers. Especially the earlier ones, they are still perhaps holding on to the closed architecture. And there we have to encourage them to open up, because really trade is about collaboration. And if we don't collaborate and we don't exchange the data freely, then what's going to happen is that the adoption rate is going to be really, really slow. So we do need all tech solution providers to be adopting the open architecture. That's one. Two, there's also the traditionalists. People who perhaps still are not yet convinced that digital is safe, and they are still clinging on to the old dated ideas of that paper is safe. But what they need to realize is that paper isn't really that safe. If you take a look at the possibilities for fraud, etc. So actually, digitalization is a good solution. You are able to do the checks much more efficiently, much quicker, and at the same time, there's the ability to authenticate and the entire paper trail. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for the fraudsters. So I do hope that they will be on board.
So I guess with interoperability then, there's an agreement that it is certainly possible. And what would the time frame look like then in terms of the rollout of that, and what's the first phase?
I am an optimist, so in terms of, I believe that there will be real progress that will be made in the next 5 years. Starting with the data standards, so as I mentioned already, the data standards that are being defined right now, it's available, and the key thing is how we harmonize it. So that work is being laid out. We hope to be able to share that as DSI in the next couple of months. And with that, then the next step is really about adoption, making sure that everybody understands and sees it and starts to use it. Then with that, I can imagine that with the APIs, the technology is already available. And if the model laws is more widely spread and more and used by more countries, then we will see much more adoption taking place.
Excellent, excellent. And looking at ING specifically, then, how have you looked to your own approach to this area?
I'm happy to say that ING has always adopted a stance of co-creating solutions with our clients, with our partners as well. And true to the vision of making sure that we are talking the same language, ING is also a key supporter of adopting data standards. So one of the data standards that we are adopting is the ISO 20022, which is we're going to be adopting it and rolling it out very shortly, and that's going to help us on the payment side. Another initiative that ING has is the open banking platform. So what we've done is that we've developed a lot of APIs, which we're happy to share with the FinTechs, with the financial institutions and the corporates.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Lynn, for coming and joining us today. It's been great speaking with you.
Thank you.